Coach, would you like to make some opening remarks?
Sure. Obviously, we're glad to be here, coming off 2 good wins, and having been to the Sweet 16 a couple of years ago, we know how special an opportunity it is for us to continue to grow our program. And in order to do that, we've got to beat a very good Michigan team that's playing really well with 11 straight wins and got a good streak going. And defensively and offensively, they present a lot of different problems.
I'm sorry, right here in the front. Right.
Gabe Bach with Texags. Billy, if you could just take us through how well your 2 bigs are playing right now and the matchup nightmares that they can present an opponent.
Yeah. Tyler Davis and Robert are playing extremely well, obviously, just being dominant in the paint offensively and defensively, and really just it seems like I think we've gotten 80% of our rebounds off of missed shots, which is a high number, and those 2 guys are the reason why. They're getting everything in their area, they're getting everything out of the area. And then offensively, they've been a factor in the post, and we've been able to power the last 2 teams we played against, and that's what's going to make this an interesting matchup because they're going to now have to go out on the floor and guard perimeter posts and Robinson and Wagner, which presents a challenge for us.
Robert Morales, Southern California News Group. Coach, I was actually going to ask about your bigs as well, but now that he's asked that, your guard play has been pretty solid as well, in particular Starks. Can you talk about how well he's played so far in these first 2 games?
For a kid whose first start was at Kansas, and he actually played pretty decent against Kansas, he's come a long way in a short amount of time. To be a point guard at this level requires a lot of attention to detail and usually a lot of experience on both ends to get this far. But what he's been able to do offensively and defensively has been really tremendous for us. He's a threat offensively. He's not afraid. Again, sometimes that's a good thing. Sometimes it could be a bad thing, and we got to limit those moments when he gets out of control at times, as a freshman can do in these situations. But he's been a big factor of our success for sure.
Mike Tierney, New York Times. Billy, with so many players coming and going during the season, were there times when it was difficult to plan for practice and games? And did you ever get mixed up as to who was available on a particular day?
Yeah, the biggest thing is, like you said, for practice and preparing for games, not having guys play, and then starting freshmen in the SEC play, and those guys used to starting, and then we get the 2 guys back, and then all of a sudden those guys go to the bench. It was disruptive for everybody, and just thankful these guys stayed the course and believed in what we were telling them and told them, hey, if we can keep doing the right things and stay together through this time, then we got a chance to do something special because we knew we were talented and we knew we had some pieces that could take us a long way.
Was there ever a day when you had to think hard about who you had and who was not available?
Yeah, I mean, plenty of times because Robert Williams, he had a concussion at one point. He had the flu at one point, didn't play against LSU. We had knee injuries. We had suspensions, unfortunately. But our culture is very important to us, and doing the right things and growing as a program is very important to us. And so sometimes you got to go 2 steps backwards to go 1 step forward. And fortunately, our guys bought in and grew up some, and that's why we're in this position today.
Right here again.
You were not in this venue, but in the same town 2 years ago for the Sweet 16. What is it about this group, and especially your leaders having already experienced the Sweet 16, that may make this particular team maybe that group that can advance to the Elite Eight for the first time in school history?
I think the first time you get in a situation like this, you're celebrating and everything's about having fun. You want your guys to experience it all, and sometimes you experience too much of the success. What we've tried to do after beating North Carolina is talk to our guys about keeping their eyes on the prize. Our goal is to get to San Antonio, and whoever's in our way is what we need to be prepared for next. And Michigan presented that challenge, and this team's done a good job. Right after we beat North Carolina, obviously it was a great win in Charlotte, but we've done a good job of putting that behind us and getting focused on the next challenge, which is a very well coached Coach Beilein Michigan basketball team.
Real quick, because we're doing transcripts and doing this over the satellite, if you do not a follow-up question, but if you ask a second question, please identify yourself again.
Okay. Mike Tierney, New York Times. Billy, your team went from number 5 in the country to unranked. Unfairly or fairly, your team kind of got the label as the underachieving team of the season, and now you're here. Talk about what that ride was like, and did you ever lose faith that the team could be here at this stage?
Well, I never lost faith because it happened so early in the year. It was the beginning of SEC play, and I knew we lost 2 guys to knee injuries that we had a good chance to get back. And the mistakes that were made that we had to handle, I believed that we could get it corrected, and I knew we had the pieces. The hard thing was, just like I talked about earlier, getting practice time, getting guys used to playing roles. I figured we had 9 different starting lineups this year, and so just getting a pecking order and getting a rhythm of rotations was key in the midst of SEC play, which is not the time you want to be figuring that out. But I think we've won 9 of our last 13 games in league play, and we were able to figure that out and start playing well. And it was early enough in the year that I thought we could right the ship, and fortunately we were blessed to get that right.
Right here on the right.
Josh Peter with USA Today. After your victory over North Carolina, Roy Williams talked about the respect he has for courage you've shown in dealing with Parkinson's, and I wondered what it requires of you on a daily basis and how it's changed you.
Well, every year in the spring and in the summer, I look for different opportunities to learn new things, and was blessed to experience a new procedure in spring and in the summer that has helped me get through this process. And every year I've gotten better because of the new medicines and the new procedures and different things someone with my disease would go through. I've been blessed to have great support, nutrition, exercise, and then I'm fortunate that my symptoms aren't as glaring as maybe some other people who have the disease. So I've just been blessed to have resources and accessibility in my position to have some advantages maybe some other people didn't have, and I'm very thankful.
If I can ask a follow-up, Josh Peter with USA Today again. What's the new procedure, and what are your symptoms?
Well, my symptoms are just like anybody that has Parkinson's. I get stiff, and fortunately, massage therapy and acupuncture, I do a little bit of everything. And when you get in this situation, you do what you need to do to attack the disease. But fortunately, like I said, my symptoms aren't as glaring as other people's, and I've been blessed from that standpoint.
Are there any more? Oh. Let's go here with the jacket.
Hi, Brian Gillis, SB Nation. Coach, I'm sure you've had an opportunity to watch a lot of Michigan over the last few days. What are some of the things that jump off the film as challenges that they present you?
Well, one, how good they are defensively. I think their ball pressure defensively and how aggressive they are defensively on ball screens could present some problems against our offense, because we set a lot of ball screens in our offense. And then I think their personnel, their ability to shoot the 3 at every position, especially the 5 position, is something that you don't see. And we're more of a traditional low-post power team, probably more like Purdue is in that league. And so they're a perimeter post league and more like Vandy in our league. So that's where the challenges are going to be presented, with our bigs being able to go out on the floor and guard them, and maybe their bigs being able to guard our bigs inside. I think that's the biggest difference in how both teams will attack each other.
Right over here against the wall.
Ted Bonus on the Washington Post. You were talking before about how it's kind of been a one step forward, two step back at times season, and given obviously the stuff that you've been going through off the court, has it kind of changed your perspective when you have a season like this, where you have guys coming in and out of the lineup, and you have all kinds of stuff going on that, maybe 10 years ago you would have reacted a little differently to now there's maybe a different perspective on what's important?
Well, I always thought we had good kids, and I knew we had good players. And so probably 10 years ago, it would have given me more problems. But when you go through things personally and you go through things in tough times, basketball is really simple. And the basketball part of it was easy. The culture things in our program are very important. The suspensions bothered me more than the injuries. But I think we corrected the things we needed to correct, and that's why we're here today.